What's up guys, Perry from Rockville here, and today I'm going to show you how to set up your Stage Matrix 36 RGB matrix light. As you can see, it comes with the light itself, a PowerCon to 3-prong power cable, a PowerCon link cable, a DMX cable, a lighting clamp, a safety wire, and an Allen key. The light comes with a bracket on the back that we can use to mount the light onto a truss. To do that, we're going to need the included lighting clamp. So we're going to start by taking off the washers here on the bottom of the bolt, and then we're going to remove the bolt from the bottom of the clamp. Next we're going to take the big washer and line it up to the middle hole of the bracket. So next you're going to line up the hole of the lighting clamp up to the middle hole here of the bracket and run the bolt through the hole of the clamp. After that we're going to run the washers that we took off earlier back onto the bolt with the nut piece going on last to secure the clamp onto the bracket. Now to mount your light onto your truss, you're going to loosen this butterfly screw here. Then you'll take your light, line up the clamp onto a spot on your truss, then you'll secure the light onto your truss by screwing in the butterfly screw. And there's also 2 other holes here on the bracket that you can use to add additional lighting clamps. You can also use these knobs here on the sides of the bracket to adjust the angle of the light on your truss. Now with these lights you can either spread them out on your truss or line them up right next to each other for a wall of light. For that method you're going to use the hooks on the side of your light to lock all of your lights together in place. So we're going to use the Allen key to reveal the hooks inside of the lights. Then we're going to line up the lights next to each other and use the hooks to connect them to the adjacent grooves. For our demo today though, we're going to have our lights spread out on our truss. Now to power your lights, we're going to use the PowerCon to 3-prong power cable. We're going to take the PowerCon end and plug it into the power in socket on our light. Then we're going to take the other end and plug it into a power outlet. So we use the PowerCon to 3-prong power cable to power our first light. And then we can use the PowerCon link cable to electrically daisy chain our lights. So I'll take the gray end here and plug it into the power out socket on the back of our light. Then we're going to take the other end and plug it into the power in socket of our next light and repeat this process throughout our chain of lights. We can only do this for up to 7 lights in a row, so you won't want to exceed a chain past 7 lights. However, you can set up a second row of lights and chain 7 of those together. So now we can go ahead and turn on the light using the switch here. Now there are several mode options we can use with the Stage Matrix 36, and we can toggle through them using the buttons underneath the LED display here. So we can use the menu button to switch in between the different modes, and while we're in a mode we can use the up and down buttons to adjust the settings of the mode. We can also use the enter button to save any changes we make, and also by pressing enter the light will remember the last setting it was set to, so when you turn it back on the light will be in the last mode you set it to. So let's go through all the different modes right now. The A mode lets you set the Dmx address of the light, so you can use it with a DMX controller. The C mode lets us set the DMX channel of the light, where we have the option to set it to either 3-channel, 11-channel, or 108-channel mode. We'll go over all of these channel modes in a bit. The N mode allows you to set the light into the different built-in sequences, and each value corresponds with a different effect. So for example, this is N011, which is really cool because it cycles through 4 different blocks of light. Another one is N015, where it shows an arrow coming up, and there's a bunch of other sequences you can go through while in this mode. We can use the S mode to adjust the operating speed of the cycles. So for example, if I set this mode higher, you'll see the arrow come up a lot faster. There's even a sound mode where the light changes with any sound made. As you can see, it's going crazy as I'm talking right now. And because this is an RGB light, there are 3 different modes where we can adjust the intensity of the red, green, and blue LEDs. Playing with the intensity of these LEDs allow you to color mix and get variations of different colors. So the more you increase the intensity of these different colors, the more they'll come through in your lights. Also, when you make a customized color with these settings, it will be displayed in the sequences in the N mode. So for example, I just made this customized color here with the red, green, and blue LEDs. So now if I go to one of the sequences of the light, you'll see that custom color coming through the sequence. Keep in mind that the sequences are supposed to go through an automated color change mode, so if you wanted your light to do that, you would want to set the red, green, and blue LEDs to 0. Now as I mentioned before, we can also use a DMX controller to control our lights. To do that, I'm going to take one DMX cable, I'm going to take the male end and plug it into the DMX out on my controller, then I'm going to take the other end and plug it into the DMX in on my first light. Now to connect my first light to the next light in my chain, I'm going to take another DMX cable. I'm going to take the male end and plug it into the DMX out on my first light. Then I'm going to take the other end and plug it into the DMX in on the second light. I'm gonna do the same exact thing to connect my third light of the chain, and you're gonna wanna repeat this process for however many lights you choose to set up. So next we're gonna wanna set the Dmx address on our lights with the A setting so that they all interact with our controller. For today, we're going to use A001. We're also going to want to use the C mode to set our lights to the same DMX channel. So again, we have the option to use either 3 channel, 11 channel, or 108 channel mode. Using any of these modes is completely dependent on your needs and how much control you want to have over your lights. So if you use the 3 channel mode, you'll only really have control over the red, green, and blue LEDs. Using the 11 channel mode gives you control over the colors, sequences, and different numbers and letters that you can project through the lights. And using the 108 channel mode gives you specific control over each bulb built into the light. We even give you a DMX guide that tells you what each fader does in any of these modes when controlling your lights. For this demonstration, we're going to use the 11 channel mode. After you decide what channel mode you're using, you'll want to set your lights back to the Dmx address mode, or in this case A001, so that the lights will work with your controller. So now we'll want to go to our controller and activate scanner 1, and now let's go through the faders on our controller. Starting with fader 1, this controls the overall brightness of our lights, so for now we're going to set it all the way up. Fader 2 will activate the strobe mode once it hits value 9, and you can find out which value you're on with the LED screen on your controller. Fader 3 will control the red LEDs, so if I raise that, you'll start to see the red coming through the lights. Fader 4 controls the green LEDs, and Fader 5 controls the blue LEDs. Now Fader 6 allows you to project different numbers and letters through the light. Starting with value 10, this will project the number 0, and the higher the value, the greater number will appear. After that, starting at value 20, the lights will start to project the alphabet characters. Again, you can go through the different letters of the alphabet the higher you set the value. After that, the values from 46 to 243 will show different graphics through the lights. So for example, I can keep going up on the fader, and you'll see the different graphics start to appear through the lights. And from 243 on, the lights will go through different color change modes. Moving on to fader 7, this allows us to set the lights into different scenes. Again, each value corresponds with a different scene presented through the lights. And we can use faders 3, 4, and 5 to change the overall color of the scene. So for example, we have blue on right now, and I can bring in some red with fader 3, and some green with fader 4. If we don't use faders 3, 4, and 5, the color of the lights through the scene will change automatically. Now fader 8 allows us to control the speed of the sequence, so the higher I raise that, the faster the sequence will go. Fader 9 allows us to control the direction in which the sequence is going. So right now you see the lights going from the top left corner to the bottom right corner, and now if I raise that just a little bit, you'll start to see that it's coming from the bottom left corner going to the top right corner. And again, the directions vary depending on the value you set it to. Now fader 10 allows us to use a background color with faders 6 and 7. So for example, I'll raise fader 7 now, and fader 10, and right now you won't see the background color coming through the lights, but this is because we have to use fader 11 to control the brightness of the background color. So if I raise fader 11, you'll start to see the background color coming through. Again, we can use the different values of fader 10 to pick which color we want as our background, and we can use the values of fader 11 to control the overall brightness of the background color. Now, in case we didn't want to use a DMX controller, we can always use the master slave function to control our lights. So the first thing we're going to want to do is find out which light we want to use to control the other lights. In this instance, we're going to use this light right here. Next, we're going to want to use one of our included DMX cables. I'm going to take the male end and plug it into the DMX out on the first light. Then I'm going to take the other end and plug it into the DMX in on my next light. We're going to repeat this process for however many lights we want in our chain. So next we're going to want to go to the A mode to set the Dmx address on our lights. For today we're going to set them all to A001. Then we can press enter to save our settings, and now we can set our main light to any mode or setting and have the other lights follow. So hopefully this showed you guys how easy it is to set up your Stage Matrix 36 RGB matrix lights. But of course, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out to our customer support team through phone or email. As always, I'm Perry from Rockville, and we'll see you guys next time.